I came home early that evening with the simplest of plans: to surprise my wife with dinner and enjoy a quiet night together. I expected nothing unusual. But as I reached for the front door, a low, unfamiliar laughter drifted from the living room. It wasn't the canned amusement of a TV show. It was intimate, private, and strangely invasive. I hesitated, a shiver of curiosity crawling up my spine, and stepped inside. The scene stopped me cold. She was there, perched on her boss's lap, their faces dangerously close, whispering as though the world outside that room did not exist. My chest tightened. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. The room shrank to just the two of them and the horrible clarity of what I was witnessing. My wife of 6 years, the woman I had entrusted with everything, was in another man's arms in our own home. When her eyes met mine, the color drained from her face. She scrambled to pull away, fumbling for words that sounded hollow even to her own ears. The man, by contrast, only smirked at me as if my shock were a minor inconvenience. That expression lit a cold, sharp fire inside me. I didn't scream, I didn't throw anything. I smiled. A small, controlled smile that seemed to unsettle her more than any shout could have. "Go ahead," I said softly. "I won't stop you." They misinterpreted my calm for weakness. What they did not know was that I had already decided my course of action. I reached into my pocket, activated my phone, and began recording. She begged me with tears streaming down her face, but I continued. Every guilty silence, every awkward pause, every smug grin he offered, I captured it all. My voice stayed low, my hands steady, my lens unwavering. Once I had enough evidence, I left the house without a word. She ran after me, sobbing, but I didn't glance back. That night I planned, not out of rage, but with the cold inevitability of justice. The next morning I walked into her boss's office. Reputation mattered to him. He had a family and a professional image to protect. I handed the board the recording, presenting what I had discovered without embellishment. By the week's end, his spotless reputation was shattered. He was fired, and his wife filed for divorce. That once arrogant smirk disappeared under the weight of consequence. My wife tried everything then: frantic apologies, promises to end all contact, desperate pleas for forgiveness. She offered reasons and excuses, but none of it erased the memory of her smiling in another man's embrace. It wasn't enough. I filed for divorce. In court, the recording spoke volumes. Truth is unassailable. The judge saw what I had seen, and the law sided with reality. I retained the house, the savings, and most importantly, my dignity. People later asked if I regretted the way I handled it. I did not. I had no desire to destroy her life out of spite. My aim was to expose betrayal and reclaim my own life, to dismantle the illusion she had maintained, that she could humiliate me in secret and emerge unscathed. Watching her world unravel as a result of her own choices was consequence enough. In the weeks that followed, I felt a strange relief. Grief and anger lingered, but they were threaded with liberation. I no longer bore the burden of believing in a love that had been a performance. Friends and family, who once whispered doubts in private, offered support openly. They admired my composure, my refusal to let humiliation define me. Even skeptics reconsidered. Calm integrity can silence disbelief. She reached out repeatedly after the divorce, sending remorseful, overlong messages, promising change. But betrayal had already spoken. I could no longer be an option for someone who had made that choice. She departed with little but the weight of her own actions, the kind of regret that wakes you at night, reshaping how the world sees you. Town gossip swelled. The boss's downfall became common knowledge. My wife's image as part of a perfect marriage crumbled, replaced by the stark truth of her actions. I felt no joy in her humiliation, only satisfaction in the power of truth revealed. Looking back, my response was deliberate. I chose strategy over spectacle because measured action can be more devastating than any outburst. Yelling or violence was unnecessary. Facts carry their own weight, heavier than fury. Life moved forward. I rebuilt quietly. Mornings were mine, evenings no longer demanded a performance. The absence of what I had hoped for still ached, but alongside the pain came strength I had not known. The humiliation I feared transformed into clarity. I deserved honesty, and I could stand steady when confronted with deceit. People asked if I forgave her. Forgiveness was never the goal. It was not about absolution or revenge, but reclaiming what had been denied, a life free from betrayal. Retaining the house and savings mattered, but more so was reclaiming my story. Victory was not in her ruin. It was in the quiet reclamation of my own life, waking up without pretending, without shame. She bore the consequences of her choices. I bore the certainty that I had acted with clarity and purpose. That, more than any ruling or rumor, was justice.